Here we have the various parts that are going to be used in assembling the front end. With the coil spring, spindle upright, a length of threaded bar with nuts to suit and a large washer. That'll be used to put down the centre of the tower and to compress the spring. The base of the spring, we need a nice strong piece of metal, something that won't bend, so that we can put the bar through the hole, thread it up, and it'll compress the spring without bending this bar. This little piece is just a spacer to put on top of this bar, and it fits inside the coil spring to stop it from sliding sideways on the bar as we compress it. And here we have just a rubber coil protector that goes in the top of the suspension tower on the L300 front end. Assembling all of this into the tower is quite tricky. We need to get the spring into the tower with its rubber protector on top and the bar in the bottom without dislodging any of it as we go. I'm guiding the bar so that it goes through the hole in our little spacer and through the bar that'll hold the whole spring together. As you can see, this is not a simple process, and I'll have to adjust as I go to get it to fit. Finally it drops into place, and I take the nut and put it on the bottom to hold everything together. Now we're ready to start the process. Now it's time to start winding the spring into place. I've removed the bump stop from this top arm to allow the arm to come right down, so that we only have to compress the spring the least amount possible to get the two parts to come together. It's got to drop into the bottom arm, and the bottom of this coil needs to fit into a special place in this collar in the bottom arm. I've flattened a piece on the top of the bar here so I can put a shifter and wrench on it to hold it while I wind the nut up like this to compress the spring. Simple process, just takes a lot of bits and pieces to bring it all together. Part way through the process, I've fitted the spindle upright with just a few turns of the bottom nut to hold it in place so I can pull it up to the top arm. If I push the spring into place now and pull the bottom arm up, you can see I've still got a little bit to go here. So I need to keep winding the spring up until this top ball joint fits into the top arm and I can get the nut on it. Then we can tighten the nuts and release the nut here, take the rod out, and the job's complete. Now, I have the spindle in, put the nuts on, and just a final tighten to make sure that the ball joints are tight in the front end, and then it's time to pull it all apart again. It's nice and tight. Now we can release the bar. It shouldn't take too much because now the spindle upright is taking most of the pressure. So we can just undo this quite simply, let the spring relax into its position in the arm, and the job's complete. Pull it all apart, take it out, it's ready to put the shock absorber in, and then when we get the weight of the engine in the chassis and it's on wheels, the suspension will come up. We can fit the bump stop back in here at that point. Split pins in the castellated nuts, of course, to keep them locked in place, and we're ready to go. Now it's time to fit the shock absorber. This is quite straightforward. It goes in from the bottom of the arm up through the coil. And out through the tower. In this case, we have a cushion locator go on first, fits into the hole on the top of the tower. Then the rubber cushion itself, a heavy washer on top, and a nut to hold it in place. Two screws in the bottom, straight into the bottom arm. The job's complete, and our basic suspension unit is now fully assembled.